400 years. I'm exhausted that we have yet another person dead at the hands of police officers. People who are supposed to protect and serve. I'm exhausted because we're going through another national protest. Again, over and over and over again, and nothing has changed. I'm exhausted. I've been fighting this fight for over 30 years. And when I look back, I'm saying some of the same things that I seen back then. So I'm exhausted. I've been trying to talk to Governor Lamont for months to please pay attention to the people behind bars who are sick and dying because of COVID. What is your plan, Lamont? Well, when I happened to run up on him in the Green in New Haven and try to have a conversation with him and ask him what is the plan, he walked away and he said, I don't have time for this. So he forced me to make time when he got behind that mic. So I don't know how many of you seen it, but he had time when he got on that mic, he found time to address what I wanted to address. But the thing about it, he is completely tone deaf to the pain and suffering of black and brown people in this state. Completely tone deaf. Nelson Mandela said, when we're trying to get changes made, that we need to appeal to the heart of people. Not to their heads, but to their hearts. And I have to wonder, does Governor Lamont have a heart to appeal to? Because when you hear what's going on in this state with black and brown people, and you say you don't have time for it, that's a real problem. And I'm hoping that we are all who's concerned about what's going on in this state are looking at how we can get the next governor in place, one that can hear from all the people, not just the people out in Greenwich, but all the people. Not just the wealthy people, but the poor people too. Because poor people are the ones who keep this nation going. Poor people are the ones who built this nation. Black Lives Mattered when they went to Africa. Black Lives Mattered after they went and took over this land from the indigenous people. Black Lives Mattered then because they needed somebody to build up the nation that they stole. They need somebody to nurse their babies. They need somebody to raise their children, to cook their meals, to do the farming, and to build this nation. So Black Lives Matter then. And as far as I'm concerned, Black lives should matter now. We shouldn't have to have any kind of a paper saying Black Lives Matter. Why should we have that? Because like I said, black lives have always mattered when they were building this nation. And when you say Black Lives Matter and then you find a white person, I know you already know what they say. Well, all lives matter. And I always have to tell them, you know, you're white. Your life has always mattered. Nobody had to tell you your life matters. So we say Black Lives Matter because somehow you don't get it that our lives matter. So when we say Black Lives Matter, we're really saying our lives matter also, not just yours. So don't get all uptight, get your panties in the grip when we say Black Lives Matter. We're just saying our lives matter too. And we want you to more than say it, we want you to feel it, believe it, do it. Don't get out here while the protests are going on around the nation, protesting, saying Black Lives Matter, and then a month from now, when it's all over, we can't find you anywhere. That's my biggest concern. Okay? when the big national protest is over and the cameras are gone, and we're trying to get some legislation changed up in here, something that's going to finally do something for us.
Talk about it.
And we're not talking about more of those incremental changes.
Thank you.
Because we've been doing incremental for 400 years. That's why we are where we are now. So it's time out for incremental changes. It's time for people to do what needs to be done in this nation. It's time what needs to be done in this state. So when the protest is over, I hope that you guys will also be up in the Capitol or in the LOB fighting, packing that place, and helping the few legislators who get us and understand our challenges. Let's help support them to do what needs to be done.
We're going to be here.
And I don't mean support incremental changes. We've had enough of them. It's time to do the real work.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? So I'm going to leave it right there for now. And I wanted to bring up one of the families and anybody here who has somebody who's incarcerated. I want to hear from the families what it's like to have somebody incarcerated, not only at this time with COVID, which makes it worse, but also what it's like every day knowing somebody's behind bars and not being treated well. So the first person I want to bring up is Miss Stacy Rivera. Thank you.
Well, I would like to start by quoting something Governor Lamont said when he was begging out here for our vote. He said this mass incarceration experiment is terrible at the people's expense.
I remember that.
But the people, when we need him, he's not here. He won't even take a conversation with anyone in regards to making a plan for incarcerated individuals. And I understand right now that a lot of light has been brought onto police brutality, but like Ms. Barbara Fair said, this is a fight that has been going on for years. And it's being exposed now because the fact that we have cameras, we have phones, we have social media. So if they're so brave to do this when they know this is going on, imagine the level of abuse that is going on in the prison system.
Right.
I have a son who is incarcerated currently in Northern Correctional Institute for asking for medical attention. He didn't assault an officer, he didn't do anything. They stomped him, they maced him, and they put him on administrative segregation, all because he was advocating for himself in need of his heart medication. So I know firsthand what it is to deal with the correctional system. Prior to my son being incarcerated, the Department of Correction in the state of Connecticut has several wrongful death suits against them. And with this COVID-19 and no plan, all they're going to do is continue to build and build and build. And these are deaths that are prior to COVID-19 even coming into place. These are things that are swept under the rug that people don't know about because it's behind closed doors. So we're out here advocating for Black Lives Matter, but guess what? Incarceration affects Black lives more than any lives. So people don't need to forget about those. 71% of incarcerated in Connecticut alone are Black and brown people. So this is something that needs to be addressed immediately. It doesn't need to be swept under the rug anymore. Governor Lamont, he can't ignore this problem. What is he waiting for? More lives to be lost in regards to his lack of planning, his lack of concern? Because all of us saw how he walked away from Barbara Fair. That shows you right there that incarcerated lives are disposable to Governor Lamont. And that's the bottom line. And we as a people need to make change. We need to make change now. Not just at this moment because of what's going on publicly, to continue this. She told you 30 years she's been fighting this fight. She needs help. We need help. This is something that we cannot do alone. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Good. What do we want? Justice. And when do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. And when do we want it? Now. What do we do when we're under attack? Stand up, fight back. What do we do when we're under attack? Stand up, fight back. 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 I want to bring another parent up here if someone's in the audience. mean, it doesn't have to be a parent. It could be a brother, sister, anybody. Like I said, today is all about centering the voices of people who have loved ones who are incarcerated. And then after that, if we don't have anybody, then I'm going to bring up some of my favorite legislators. And so if we don't, okay, so I'm going to bring up one of our legislators. And I have to say, I was reading in the Connecticut Mirror this morning. I was kind of discouraged because that article talked about making some incremental changes, and it said maybe this is the time to do it. For me, like I said, I've been in this 30 years, so for me, the time was a long time ago. It was time to do this. So I don't want this one case to be the reason that we bring changes, because out of that, I just don't expect real change to happen. So can we bring up Senator Gary Winfield? He's head of judiciary, so he's the one who's got to do it.
So, some of you heard me speak earlier. I'll do it again. I think the first thing is to echo what I said earlier and what Barbara said. And it's interesting. It's interesting because we've both been doing this around 30 years. You got to stay in the fight. You must be in the fight because despite the fact that it seems like something is extremely different right now, time soothes people. We need your energy in order to make sure that what Barbara's vision is comes to fruition. We need your bodies in order to make sure that what Barbara's vision is comes to fruition. We're not looking for incremental change. And I know that that is the vision of some of the people who are going to have strong voices in this conversation.
No increments.
And the way that we do that to get what we want, to get a real change, a substantive change, is not because myself or Representative Porter, who you'll hear from in a minute, show up and put a bill on the table. It's not because we're able to get 2 or 3 other colleagues to join in the fight. It's not because we get 20 or 30 other colleagues to join in the fight. It's because of people who are in the streets of Enfield right now. Enfield, think about that. That's not a place where you see protests like this. It's because of people who are in the streets of places where they normally aren't stay in this fight. Because when they address their legislators, they tell their legislators, thank you for all the stuff that you've done, but we need you to focus on this. For us, Black Lives Matter. And that means more than we put it on a sign. That means more than we put it on a shirt. That means that we put our bodies on the line, we put our bodies in the Capitol, we call, we write, and we don't stop doing it until we get what we want. So, again, as I said earlier, thank you for coming out here. This fight is not just a fight that's won out here, but it's a fight that's won in there. We need you to be present when we're trying to do the things we're trying to do. And again, I just want to remind everybody that this fight looks like it's never looked before. I just hope that at the end of this fight, it doesn't look like it always has, where you see it and then you don't feel it. Because the legislators need to feel that they have to make a change. They need to feel that their political careers have something to do with the changes we make. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. I just want to give you just a little bit of why I'm exhausted at this point. I remember when Ayanna Jones, a 7-year-old in Detroit in 2010, was lying on the couch sleeping. Police raided the house, threw in little smoke bombs, didn't know where they were going, and ended up shooting her and killing her. 7 years old. And no one went to jail. Then I remember Tamir Rice, 12-year-old kid playing in the park, playing with a gun. Kids can't even play with guns anymore, not when you're black. He's dead as a result. I go all the way back to Emmett Till, 14 years old, lynched and beaten and threw in the river because he was accused of looking at a white girl. 14 years old. Then I think about Amadio Diallo, I think his name was. Yeah, 1999, 41 bullets. Philandro Castro, in July 16th, dead. Freddie Jackson, in 2015, dead. Sandra Bland, 2015, dead. Stephen Clark, March 2018, dead. Ezra Ford, August 2014, dead. Michael Brown, August 2014, dead. Alton Sterling, July 2016, dead. Laquan McDonald, 2014, dead. Oscar Clark, 2009, dead. Eric Gardner, July 2014, dead. Walter Scott, April 2015, dead. Sean Bell, 2006, dead. And it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And that's why I'm exhausted. Most of these officials never go to jail, no matter how many people they've killed. The one who, this most recent, I couldn't even watch that video. The last one I watched was Eric Gardner. And I watched that officer press his face into the cement with the hate that you could feel while he said, "I can't breathe." And he didn't let up till he was dead. So this is not the first time coming here. This is not the first time one of our people have been suffocated and said, "I can't breathe." And that's why right now I can't breathe. I'm just so tired. It's exhausting being black in America. Exhausting. And I just want a white person, anyone, to just tell me why. What has black people did to any of you? We were brought here in chains. We didn't ask to come here. And now that we're distant from our own motherland, they don't know us. We don't know them. There's nothing to go back to. So just why? We didn't lynch you. We didn't rape you. We didn't steal your families and sell them off to somebody else. We didn't do any of that. So I want to know why. And I'm not only talking to the white ones. Because black people get in power too and they forget they black. Yep, they do.
In Puerto Rico, talk about it.
Yep. And they're even worse. And I'll tell you quickly, I don't really like it to be about personal, but I'll tell you quickly how I feel about some of our black people that get in power, hold positions. I was under Greed 3 years ago, doing absolutely nothing. Just like a rally like this, but doing absolutely nothing. And a black officer, now pay attention, a black officer came and put his hands on my shoulder, and I said, "Why are you bothering me? I'm not doing anything." And then I said, "Oh, it would be a brother. You're under arrest." Under arrest? What did I do? What am I getting arrested for? And so his comrades came and, manhandled me. And while they were doing that, another black officer said, "Take her to the ground." Then I went to Internal Affairs, headed by a black man, and they found nothing wrong. So I went to the chief, who was black. And of course, his lips are sealed too, because they're enslaved to the system. So then I went to the police commission, headed by a black man. They saw nothing wrong. So then I went to the black mayor, another lip sealed. So the problem is not just white officers. I mean, they have a hatred that I just can't even understand. I mean, how do you hold somebody down that's begging for their life for almost 9 minutes and put your handcuffed, can't even do anything? Where does that hatred come from? But like I said, it's not the first time. So I don't know why people are amazed. Because us who've been paying attention, this has been happening for over 20 years that I know about. I thought Stephon Clark, when he got killed, you know, they thought that he had a gun, it was a cell phone, shot him down at his grandmother's front yard. 10 days of national protest, just like you see it now. 10 days. And yet nobody went to jail. And here we are again. So that's why I'm tired. We've arrested somebody, took 4 days to get an arrest with the video. I don't know what they was looking for. That they didn't know right away that officer should have been in jail. But it took 4 days of people doing anything and everything that they could to get attention. People looking at looting or burning a building when somebody's life is just snuffed out over and over again. I wonder how angry you would be if that was happening to you. I wonder how many buildings you would burn down. And I wonder how many of your people would say, oh, look, they're burning down a building. No, because they could feel what's going on. So my problem is, how come you guys don't feel what's going on? Not you that are here. But how come this nation doesn't feel enough to say we need to dismantle law enforcement in this nation? Because it's no longer about enforcing the law, if it ever was. It's about enforcing white supremacy.
Talk about it.
That's what it's about, enforcing white supremacy.
Talk about it.
And so we need white people to stand up and say, not on my name. That's not what I want out of law enforcement. And we need them to step up and say that loudly when police officers jam this place, when legislators try to get something done. Real police accountability. Not no little watered down stuff. Real accountability. The accountability that would have told that officer, I will never get away with this. I'm not even going to try this.
That's right.
But from what I read, he pressed on that man's neck, and even though he was being videoed, and he pressed even till the man was limp, and he kept pressing, and obviously thought he was going to get away with it. You know what that leaves me wondering? How many of these things have happened? How many of these have happened when there was no video around? That's what I think about. Because if that witness wasn't there to video it, he'd have got away with that. And the officers who stood by and helped him, they wouldn't have came forward and said anything. So what was they going to attribute his death to? Put him in an area and said, we found this body, and then everybody's, clueless about what really happened? We have to start looking at what our law enforcement is doing. And we have to make it better, easier, safer for those law officers who do have a heart. We have to make it easy for them to come forth and not have to worry about risking their jobs and their lives. Because that's what white supremacy does. It supports all this stuff. And it makes it hard for people to come forth that would never go along with this stuff. So I know there was a couple of families that said they were going to come. So if you come, please step up because I won't know that you're here. Because I want to now turn the mic over to Representative Porter. I mean, if you want a fighter, if you want a real fighter up in our legislation, she's the one. She ain't taking no BS. Because she has a black son. So she knows this could happen to her black son too. So I'm going to pass the mic to her. I know she's as burdened about this as I am. She's been attending so many events, and I'm so grateful that you came out today, because I definitely could have excused you, because every time I went somewhere, you've been there. So, thank you for showing up.
There's so much that's been said, there's so much that could be said, but I tell you, I'm tired of talking. Thank all of you for being here today. Thank you, Miss Barbara, for your unrelenting push to make sure that we don't forget there's a movement. You have never sat down. You have always been on the front line. And I just want to salute you right now in this moment. Thank you. And you know I love you. And I am tired. But there was no way that I could not show up here today when I got your text. Let's talk about it. I'm a black mama. Black son, black daughter. Son been incarcerated. You know my story. You know that. So I know what this system looks like pre-COVID. So I can only imagine what's going on during COVID. And I know about the brutality. I know about the structural racism that needs to be undone, because it's not just the judicial system, it's all systems.
Right.
But I'll tell you a story. Family court. We got to do something about that too. My son was arrested in family court a while back. And I was on my way back from North Carolina, and around midnight, my daughter, 11 o'clock, my daughter called and wanted to know how to talk to my son. No, I ain't talk to him. I don't talk to him on a regular. Why? What's going on? Well, his girlfriend's trying to reach him. The phone was ringing, but now it's going straight to voicemail. We haven't seen him. I'm like, well, where'd he go? Where is he? Well, he was in court today. That's all she had to say. I got on the phone and started calling some judicial folks because I needed to know. And I called my grandson's mother, and he had been arrested in family court. Got up the next morning, did what I needed to do, found out that he was being held in Bridgeport, at the jail, down in Bridgeport. Got the money together, because I had to have about $2,500 in cash. Showed up with that. Went through the procedures. Got sent outside to wait for my son around the back of the building where they where they release him. And I'm watching my son walk to my truck and noticing that he ain't looking quite right. He's got a limp. He gets in the car, I take a look at him, and I said, well, what the hell happened to you? I'm thinking he got into an altercation with some of the inmates. That's what I'm thinking, right? Nah. About 7 or 8 COs walked my son to an area in Bridgeport jail where there were no cameras and beat the living shit out of him. My son, State Representative Robin Porter's son. So I'm here to tell you, ain't nobody off limits. Spent the whole day and the whole night in the emergency room. Watched my son suffering. Watched the nurse looked at him and said, what? They did a number on you. His femur. I mean, he was in pain that I can't even describe. But let's talk about the damage that got done during the years of incarceration, the trauma that was impacted on top of the urban trauma that black people are birthed into in this damn country. Right? Let's talk about that. The compounded trauma that he hasn't been able to process since he's been home because there are no systems in place to help them reintegrate.
That's right.
Exactly.
And I'm still waiting. And it's been some years on an investigation. But I'll tell you what I was told. I believe your son. But you know his word against the CO's word. You know how that's going to go. So at that point, I knew I wasn't waiting or expecting any justice. And that's why I'm telling y'all this story, because I want the young people that are out here on the front lines, especially the black and brown young people, and not that I don't care about the white young people online, but they gonna think twice before they bust y'all upside the head, because you look like their daughter, or their mother, or their brother, or their sister. They're not gonna come for you the way they come for us, because our lives don't matter to them. They're gonna take us down without a second thought. 70 years old. This woman is renowned in our community. How the hell was it that she was faced with what she was faced with on the New Haven Green? Unnecessary, excessive force. Disrespectful, to say the least. So let's talk about it. You talked about the looting, and they want to talk about the violence. Apple downtown New Haven has their shop boarded up. I want to know where Apple is, why they ain't out here on these streets with us today, yesterday, and the day before that. Because I tell you, the money y'all spending with them, you need to put in a damn investment account. Stop supporting the systems that are strangling us, choking the life out of us, and profiting off of us. We ain't going to get this right until we get it right. And it's going to take discipline. It's going to take y'all doing without your wants and living with your needs. Because my people need to breathe. My people need to breathe.
I guess that had to happen.
So don't talk to me about looting and violence, because everything you see us doing is what you taught us to do, America.
That's right.
You looted the land from the Native Americans. You looted us from Africa. These capitalist, corporate, greedy ass people, guess what? They loot in life from essential workers right now. We got essential workers that are being mandated to go out and work without proper PPE, without hazard pay, without sick pay, without the benefit of a workers' comp presumption. If I'm going to work and you telling me I got to show up, what does it matter if I didn't get it here? With all probability, I did. Okay, 99.9% I did, because I'm working in a facility where COVID is rampant. How dare you question me? I'm coming and risking myself, my family, my friends, my community to serve people in need. And you're not going to help me with my needs? That's the America we living in. That's the state we living in right now. And I want to know, where are the elected officials and what are we going to do? Because I'm sick and tired of talking about it. I'm sick and tired of the watered down bills. I'm sick and tired of the compromises. And I'm sick and tired of people asking black folks what they need to do to make it right. You did it. Undo it. Because I was told today you're not going to undo it. I want you to prove us wrong. Undo it. These are your racist, discriminatory laws on the books. I'm told a dozen times a day that I can't legislate love in this building. That's what I'm told. But I want to know why not, because y'all damn sure legislating hate.
That's right.
Because love is justice. That's what it looks like when it shows up in public. So what are we going to do? Because I'm sick and tired of talking about it. Let's be about it. Let's be about it. Looting. Violence. Hell. Y'all taught us how to be violent.
We learned from them.
You stole us from our land. You raped us. You beat us. How many of y'all know about buck busting? Because that's something they used to do back in slavery days.
Still do.
What?
Still do.
What?
Still do.
Buck busting. The biggest buck on the plantation would get taken to a tree stump and strapped to that tree stump while his family was lined up front and the rest of the plantation was bought out. And the white master would rape him in front of everybody. Buck busting. Because they needed us to know that we needed to stay in our place. And we got police officers that are good officers. They're my family, they're my friends, and they're reaching out to me right now. So I want to speak to that too. I hear y'all. And I'm trying to rally the troops so that we can support y'all. And together, we can take down these bad cops.
Yes.
Because that's what it's going to take. And we have to create a space where they can come in confidence and talk to us about the real. And they're doing it.
Yeah.
We just got to find the folks in power in this building that is willing to stand with me and Senator Winfield and get it done. No more excuses. No more excuses. The time is now. We're done waiting. Talk is cheap. So if you don't like us looting, and let's talk about white folks is looting, so don't leave them out. And if you want to talk about violence, and you don't like the way we acting, then change the way you treat us. Because you learn through modeling. And this is what has been modeled to black people in America.
Justice brings chaos.
Injustice. Chaos. Yes.
Police precipitate the violence at the protests.
It's time to end. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm done. I'm done. No more playing nice. You know, this whole politically correct. Ain't nothing politically correct about what happened to Aubrey. Ain't nothing politically correct about what happened to Floyd. Ain't nothing politically correct about what happened to Sandra Bland. Or our brother Manuel Ellis that was just killed and was saying, I can't breathe. What is this? Every death now, what we're hearing, I can't breathe. And how ironic is that? When we are in a COVID pandemic that is disproportionately killing black and brown people, we can't breathe. And now we got a cop pandemic, and this ain't nothing new. This is centuries old. So COVID is killing us. Bad cops are killing us. And people got a problem with us being out here protesting, right? We've been told to stay safe and stay home. Well, Breonna Taylor thought she was safe. Breonna Taylor was home, and they came in her house, and they shot and killed her in her sleep. Don't tell me to stay home and stay safe, because there's no place safe for black people in America.
That's right.
We can't go to church. We can't jog. We can't bird watch. We can't breathe. And guess what? As a black mama, I'm here to tell you we can't grieve, because we have gotten no reprieve from this. We don't even get an opportunity to grieve. We don't get an opportunity to sit in this pain. Every time we think we've caught our breath, they snuff another breath. It's time to get it done. And what I am committing to doing, along with Senator Winfield and some other legislators that have committed to standing with us, is putting forth a bill with some teeth in it, so when they come out and they kill us, we can clap back. It's time to put some power and some teeth in these bills, so that they do have to think twice before they pull the trigger. Or they do have to think twice before they walk somebody around the corner and beat the shit out of them. Yes, this is what I'm talking about.
That's right.
And I'm going to need every single one of you, every single one of your friends, your family members. There shouldn't be enough room on this land to hold the people that are going to show up when we go back into special session.
That's just
That's what I want to see, because talk is cheap. Show up now, cameras rolling, we looking real good. But I want to see y'all out here when the rubber meets the road. My outside interference is what I call it. And I need y'all, it can't be business as usual. It's time to disrupt the business in the building. And ain't no business getting done till this business gets done.
That's right. That's right.
Because, yeah, we got housing, we got education, we got health, but you don't need none of that if you dead.
That's right.
So we need to put some laws on the books to ensure that all lives matter. Because that's what you like to say, all lives matter. Well, if they do, prove it. Prove it. Support the legislation that is going to send a message to these bad cops, these rogue cops, these racist cops, that you cannot continue to lynch us in 2020. We're done.
We're done. Prove it.
So if I don't have anybody else who has wanted to come up to the mic, oh, hold on.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I just want to tell you, March 4th, 2013, not even a quarter mile from this building, I'm a survivor. My Caucasian coworker pulled a gun on me, and I was told because I bring black people to the store, they had to let me go. I filed numerous complaints with state agencies. They were able to cover it up because he hired another African American woman to come in and say that he hired him to take my place. There's no justice in justice. There's no justice in justice. It's just us. Within a month after the gun being pulled to my head, he later took his own life. I filed numerous complaints with different state agencies, and they were all the same. One agency can't speak with another, that can't speak with another, that can't speak with another. It wasn't until last year that my case was brought to court, and he was able to get away with it. The guy has plenty of financial crimes against him that was found to be that he had financial crimes, and he's still operating in business today. Luckily, I've made it out with my life. I can't say too much because I currently have a son that's in DOC custody, and I can't let that go until he gets clear from the people that are killing us. But I just had to let you know that all lives matter. My life matters. My mother didn't raise no nigger. She raised an African American woman.
Right. Yes, yes. Is this working? No. Okay. Hello? I just want to see if this is working.
Testing.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me? Hello, thank you for having me. I just have some brief statements. My name is Danielle Wong, and I'm a council member for the town of Bloomfield, Connecticut. I am currently a state representative. I'm a candidate for state representative for District 15 to represent Bloomfield and Windsor. I'm a black woman, and I am tired. We as black and brown people have experienced psychological turmoil of police killings, including correctional officer killings, of unarmed victims, and such incidents reflect structural racism in the totality of ways in which our society devalues black lives and our humanity. Beyond the destructive effects that these killings have had on our population's mental health, they undermine the very mission and the law enforcement personnel attempt to carry out day to day. Regularly, they put themselves in harm's way. These killings and murders also undermine our civic engagement opportunities, and they shred that social contract between the police and the people that they are employed to serve. More than that, these killings carry the weight of our country's long history of state-sanctioned violence against people of color. It clearly demonstrates inequities in the criminal justice system, and intentionally or not, sends a signal that our society does not value humanity. So I hope these events do spark changes, but it will take action now, and it will take action at the local level. I hold myself accountable, I hold my peers accountable, and I, as an elected official, will continue to execute and implement thoughtful decisions and policy that make my town, the state, and Black Lives matter. Thank you for your time, and there is work to be done.
Is there anyone else who wanted to say something? Okay, I just wanted to end with the same way I began, that we're tired. I was just thinking about Franklin Reed. He was 21 years old in 1998. New Milford cop had him on face down on the ground, had his foot on his back when he shot him in the back. So this is not new for Connecticut. See, we may look at Minneapolis and say, well, you know, that's going on there. That's not happening here. No. We've had 21 deaths in Connecticut in the last few years. Yes. 15 years old.
Bridgeport.
Name them.
Jason Negro.
Yes. So it's nothing new for us. What has to be new is that we're actually going to follow up and show up when it's time to. And that's what I'm hoping, that you will make that commitment to yourself, that you're not going to be here just because right now it's trending, but that you're going to continue this fight until we win. And when you go to your legislators, tell them you don't want any incremental changes. We're tired of that. We done have 400 years of that. That's why we haven't moved anywhere. Tell them you're demanding real change. Everybody has a legislator. Find out who it is. Tell all your family, everybody. It's time for change. Like I said, when Stephon Clark got killed, 10 days of national protest, Al Sharpton said, the nation is waking up. Well, we see they went back to sleep. So we're not trying to go back to sleep, right?
No. No.
We're not trying to go back to sleep, right?
No.
Okay, so that means we're going to show up when we find out what's going on in Hartford. And I want to thank everybody who came out today. Make sure you continue to be involved so you know the work we got to do.
And vote.
And vote.
Vote.
Yes, and we definitely, and also I want you to, even though Lamont has shown like he's tone deaf to us, we have to keep pressuring Lamont to start letting some of these people out that can easily, safely be released back into our community, rather than risk their lives and allow them to get sick and then some die. The last time I was here, there was 4 COVID deaths. Now there's 7. 8 now. So.
The Hartford guy, the 26-year-old.
Oh, okay. So it's 8.
Out of New Haven.
And Lamont is still tone deaf. But you know what? Lamont can't run everything by himself. We have legislators who can step up too and go after Lamont and say, you know what? We need to do something about the people in Connecticut. The people that are behind bars, being dehumanized. So everybody, we all have work to do. Let's do that work, okay? What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we do when we're under attack? Stand up, fight back. Come on now, let's do better than that. What do we do when we're under attack?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do when we're under attack?
Stand up, fight back.
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 And let's keep on fighting until we win. We gotta win this time. No more incremental changes. We gotta have a win. Police gotta know they can't just kill us and nothing happens to them. Correctional officers gotta know they can't abuse us and nothing happens. This is our fight, and we gotta fight. Thank you.
So could you tell me a little about what it's like for you to have someone like a loved one behind bars?
It's one of the most difficult experiences that I've ever dealt with in my life. I worry every day. I wait for his phone call, especially being that he's incarcerated in Northern. He only can get 1 phone call per week, which now because of COVID-19, they get an extra phone call. So I have to worry. I have to wait. I constantly try to stay in touch with his counselor, so I'm updated on his progress and his well-being, because he's behind bars. You know, it's the unknown right now. I don't know what's going on with him on a daily basis. My son is someone that I talk to every day, that I spend every day with. So right now, I haven't even seen my son in almost 5 months because of them suspending visits and everything like that. So it's extremely hard, you know. It's hard emotionally, mentally. You know, I try to support him financially. I send him books. I write to him regularly, but it's something that's extremely hard that a lot of people would never understand unless you have to deal with it firsthand.
So is the northern conditions worse than in a regular prison?
Oh, absolutely. He's on 23-hour lockdown every day. And when visits are available, it's 1 visit per week for 30 minutes. He can't, like I said, 23-hour lockdown, shackled. Whenever he needs to take a shower, he's shackled from his legs, around his waist. He has to be, anytime he's removed from his cell, he's shackled like an animal.
Like they can't take them off?
No, they don't take his shackles off. They take him off his hands to shower, but they stay on his feet and around his waist while he showers. You know, he has to do everything in his cell. He eats there. You know, like I said, it's 23-hour lockdown. So normally he tells me the only time he can have rec is in the morning. They come around 7 o'clock in the morning, and if you're not awake, then you miss your 1-hour rec for the day. You know, so it's difficult. It's different. It's a super max. They don't have, you know, free will to have rec like most prisons where they're outside. He doesn't have a cellmate. You know, he's there alone with, you know, there's only, prior to COVID-19, there was only 79 inmates in this prison. So, you know, it's totally different from, it's a level 5 prison, so it's very different than just a level 3 or a level 2 prison. So yeah.
So, what made you come out today?
I came out today to support Barbara Fair, as always. I try to show up to every event she has. Stop Solitary CT. They were the first people that actually reached out to help me when I needed help in advocating for my son. So I'm always going to show up and I'm always going to support when it comes to incarcerated individuals. It's something that we all need to do because it affects us all. And a lot of people don't know this until it hits them firsthand, but it's something that we all need to get behind and try to support.
I agree. And lastly, do you have a message that you would like to hope to send out to people today? Any sort of?
I would like to say that I think we all need to pay attention a little more. Open our mouths, let people hear our voices. That's the message that I have. Like Robin Porter said, if we don't step up and stand up here in these buildings, when it comes to the legislators, the laws, the bills that are passed, we're never going to be heard. We can march until our soles of our shoes come off, but until we come into these buildings and let these people know that we want change, change won't be made. So that's the message that I have is wake up, open your mouth, let people hear your voice. Let them know that you actually care and you're concerned and you want change.
Thank you.
Solitary Connecticut, and this is so imperative that what Barb was saying about, yes, Black Lives Matter, and we can't forget those who are in prison, who are rendered invisible by the injustice system in this country, and wants people to forget who's in prison. This state, the governor can release all kinds of people, hundreds of people, from the prisons right now in Connecticut. And they boast that the population is down below 10,000. That was a headline today. But it could be so much lower if they cared about the folks that are there and the people that can be safely released. So we're not turning back. Barb's right. Stand up, fight back. This and the police brutality, it's all part of the same spectrum when you talk about the brutality of correctional officers too. Doesn't mean there aren't some good cops. There are, but the whole system allows for the racism and the militarization of the police that leads to the violence that we've seen and the lack of accountability. So things have to change. They should have changed a long time ago. It's got to change now.
Thank you. So, what is it like for you to have a loved one behind bars? Would you tell me a little bit of what it's like?
Well, my loved one is actually home now, but when he was behind bars, it was hard because I understood that I didn't have any control, that he was a ward of the state, that he was state property, and that basically they could do whatever they wanted, and it wouldn't be nothing I could do about it. So I constantly feared for his safety. You know, I prayed, I cried. Probably lost about 40 pounds because I had no appetite. And the only thing I can tell you is that the only thing that I've ever felt outside of that I could relate that experience to was death. I felt like I was mourning it. I was grieving. I had, you lose somebody close to you. You don't want nothing to eat. You don't want to be bothered. You don't want people around, you go into that space. And that is what my son going to prison did to me. It took me to that space.
So what made you come out today?
This is what I was born to do. Many are called, but few are chosen. It was my responsibility to be here. And I came out because I know more voices like mine need to be heard on these issues out in the streets, out in public, not behind closed doors, not cutting deals, not making bargains, not making compromises, done compromising on Black lives. Black Lives Matter. And we ain't getting nothing done until we get that right.
Now, lastly, is there a message that you would like to send out to people today? Anything?
Yes, I want my people to be safe. I want my people to be safe. And I want these cops to get out here in this community and build relationships and social cohesion and put this unrest to rest. I want the killing to stop. This modern day lynching needs to stop.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Barbara Fair, and I'm on the steering committee for Stop Solitary Connecticut. And I'm happy to see the turnout today. I'm happy to inspire people. I'm hoping that they'll continue to fight because this fight has been going on for so long. And what generally happens, people get all excited and inspired, and then by the time it's time to do the work, we can't find the people. So the one thing that I'm hoping that will come out of this, that people will commit to come back and come to the legislature and do the work, because if we really want some true police accountability, we have to stop accepting these policies, this watered down policy, these incremental steps to justice. It's time for us to get real justice now. And like I said, we've been here before. There's been many, many times that they said, okay, this is going to be the one that's going to change everything. And it still hasn't. And so that's why I'm exhausted, but I have enough energy to keep going, because I remember what Maya Angelou once said. She said, we may face many defeats, but we must never be defeated. And so I try to remember that and let that ring in my head as I continue to do this work. But I believe we're going to get there, but it's going to take a lot of us to step up and be bold and do the work. Because we're not fighting just law enforcement, we're actually fighting the maintenance of white supremacy. And that's why this is so important for them to keep the policies in place. Because if we look at laws, if you pay attention to the laws, they're actually supporting and maintaining white supremacy. So if those laws are what built this system, it's going to take us undoing those laws to tear this system down. And that's what has to happen, not reform, dismantling this white supremacist system that allows these cops and correctional officers to abuse us with impunity.
I've been doing a lot of research on the corporations and the powerful men that are, we call them avatars of death, that are behind 45 and behind this whole white supremacist, current white supremacist push. And there are companies that we do business with every day. Like we did a lot of research on who's given the drugs to the babies in the cages at the border, and we knew it was going to be the same company that's doing it in incarcerated people, and it's Johnson & Johnson. And we've been doing a lot of research. I work in Coalition, National Women Allies, with a group of black women called Sisters in Struggle. And we've done a lot of actions together, and this research is some of what we're working on right now. Amazon and Jeff Bezos, so complicit, such bloody hands. They're doing the facial recognition software, which is they're using in police departments all over the country. Many human rights groups have called it the most dangerous threat to human rights that's ever been around. And so he's one of the big avatars of death. Another one is a guy that most people don't know about, and he is evil, bloody hands, evil. His name is Peter Thiel, and he heads a company called Palantir, and they have all of the surveillance software. They work with ICE, closely with ICE, and now with local law enforcement to track and identify anybody they want to incarcerate or kill, and he's a really bad guy. He wrote a book when he was at Stanford, a very racist book against diversity. He is, nobody knows about him, so Amazon works with them and doesn't want us as consumers to know what they're doing. So they get paid through Palantir, and they have multi-million-dollar contracts with the country. And these are just a couple of the ones that we've unveiled and are going to expose. I mean, really done deep dive research on. So people can name them and have a language to talk about this genocide, because that's what it is. It's been genocide against black people for hundreds and hundreds of years, and against brown people, and certainly now we're seeing it really at the border again. And so that's what I do, and hope that helps.
Thank you very much.
So I'll just say, from the perspective of someone who's been organizing with Stop Solitary for a while, that this movement and this moment and this rally did fantastic work to connect what's going on inside prisons with the brutality, violence, and structural discrimination that's going on outside. And so when we go into the Capitol, when there's a special session, and when we call for accountability, part of that needs to be defunding and restructuring the accountability processes for the Department of Correction. In 2019, the Department of Corrections alone spent $38.2 million on just overtime pay. That's just a management problem. So that alone, that needs to go. But I was talking with Barbara the other day. She said when she first started this work, there was one prison in the state of Connecticut. And now you go down Enfield and you see 5 prisons in a row. And the fact that that's a normal thing, we don't even question that, that needs to be the central question of what's going on in the special session. That, yes, there's a pandemic. Yes, that's killing black and brown folks disproportionately. But the pandemic's been going on for years, and that's been violence against black and brown communities in millions of different iterations, and that's what needs to change. So yeah, thank you.
The event, it was good. What would make me feel really good is if this actually goes into the building and the legislators actually do something. You know, it's good that we have Robin Porter and we have Gary Winfield, but we need more. And people need to be vocal about whatever that they feel and actually hold people accountable. You know, we shouldn't just have, it's more black people inside this building who can make some incremental changes inside the system as well as on the streets that will affect all of us as black people, as minorities, as whatever you want to call it in the hood. So this is good, but now some action needs to be taking place. My role in Stop Solitary is education outreach coordinator, as you know. But it's to educate the public about solitary confinement and its detrimental effects on people. Since the COVID, we've had to transfer to virtual our education, and coupled with these rallies that you've been a part of and you've been a part of as well. We need Governor Lamont to release people. It's hundreds, maybe thousands of people who are probably even pre-trial, haven't even been sentenced to anything, and they're subjected to getting COVID-19 and dying. They haven't even been sentenced yet. Now, that's just that portion. Now, what about people who are inside for violations of parole or minor offenses, drug offenses because they have drug addictions, not because they just want to be out here on the streets doing something wrong, or even if they have committed a crime and they served the majority of their time, why? And they have a home to go to, and you can release them without being something bad on the public. Release these people, and like how they talking about 7 people died, that's not even accurate. 8 people died. They don't want to say that 8 people died because that last young man who died, he was on the brink of death. And they was trying, his family, they was trying to get some release, some compassionate release. They released him 2 days, and 2 days later he died. So if they would have been proactive, and released him, then he probably wouldn't have died. He probably would have got some adequate treatment. I'm tired of talking. That's why I haven't gotten on the mic. I've been on the front lines of a lot of these protests. Not in Connecticut. I've been, and I'm just tired of talking, bro. As a black man in this country, it's suffocating to be a black man in this country, especially with a strike against you. We got to strike against ourselves just from coming out of our mother's wombs. We're black, and then we in the hood. Or even if you're not in the hood, you don't have the same opportunities as the white people. Even with the financial education and all that they get at a young age, we don't have that. So then we make these mistakes. We sell drugs, we do whatever we do that gets us into the system. Now we have this strike on us. And it's even doubly, triply hard to, have a stake in this country. We need a stake in this country. I may be talking too long for you. She's like, don't go. She's like, I gotta go, yo. But yo, listen, man. I'm angry, but I want to use my anger to motivate me to do some good. When I left prison, I told people that I was not gonna leave them, and I was gonna fight, just like I started to fight. Once I changed my mind, I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna fight like this no more. I'm gonna fight with the pen, because I realized that I had rights, and I learned all the rights, and I was like, oh, when I go home, I'm gonna do the same shit. Excuse my language, I'm gonna do the same shit, and that's what I've been doing. And y'all on the front lines, and we on the front lines. We just gotta keep doing it. Everybody out there, if you're white, you gotta speak to your family members about racism. You can't sugarcoat nothing. You gotta specifically tell them. If you hear your family members speak about some racist stuff, say some racist stuff, you gotta tell them that's wrong. And it's not an individual basis of racism. It's institutional racism from the judicial to the laws that's being enforced in the street disproportionately against us, even though we are already at a disadvantage. Education, housing, every level is institutional racism. So for them to even be speaking about individual cops or individual situations, that means they're not educated, or they just don't want to admit that we are on an institutional level is biased. Speak to your families and your friends and let them know that this is not right, and that's that. Salute to you. I see you every time you're doing what you're doing. Salute to you, young lady, and keep doing what you're doing.
Trying to support what I believe is a revolution in America, not just about police brutality, but all of the other social ills that we have going on in the United States. And I believe the world is being changed. You know, obviously what happened to the brother George Floyd is a catalyst, but this is a revolution that's long overdue. It's not going to stop. You know, we hope, continue on being peaceful. But I'm not also going to condemn anything else that happened, because it all comes together. And I'm out here to support that, and I'm always going to support that.
Thank you.
Peace and love.